on Dickinson.
Hey, JD, what you up to, sugar? Long time no talk to.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live at knbr.com and on the KNBR app.
Melton again, Steph with the hands. They do take it away. Peyton, after Steph looks over here and winks at you.
Well, I told Steph I just have hands for handles. I didn't use it for defense. Great steal right there by the chef.
Yeah, Stephen Curry with a steal tonight, and the Warriors doing it really offensively, defensively, all phases in this one as they handle their business and beat the Portland Trailblazers, something that has not yet been said in the 2025-26 season. 119-97, the final. We welcome you in. It's Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader. Great to be back after the 49er game and the big win for the Niners on Sunday in Philadelphia. Took us off for what was kind of an ugly one against the Hawks in the building that sits behind me here as I come to you from Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City, as always, here when we go live after Warrior home games, and it's great to be back here at Harmonic. Also, cheers to my guy Kyle Haar in the Daly City studios. We got Overnight Dave already in. Well, why is Overnight Dave already in? Well, because this game began at about 8:11 Pacific Standard Time. Cheers to the end of the 8 p.m. starts, Kyle. Tonight was the last one. Tonight was the last 8 p.m. Pacific start for the Dubs, at least. This season.
Can do without those. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
I could do without the 8 p.m. starts.
I was just chatting with Mike and Jesse behind the bar pouring tonight at Harmonic, but right before we hit the air, and I said, yeah, this is the last one, and they both said, yeah, thank God. Like nobody likes them. Nobody likes these 8 p.m. starts. I got to think that next year, I think the NBA and the teams and the networks, NBC, I think they're gonna shift some things around to probably not have that happen. I know there have been other Tuesdays, a couple of them during the holiday season, where they did their Tuesday doubleheader. They the East game, the West game, and they weren't. There were a couple that were 7. I think the Lakers had one last week or a couple weeks ago that started at 7. So we shall see. Moving forward. But alas, Warriors do get a comfortable win tonight over the Portland Trailblazers. And what do you know? The Dubs are a different team, or Portland, rather, I guess, is a different team when they don't have Denny Avdia and they don't ultimately have Jeremy Grant, a couple of guys that have really put a hurting on the Warriors in the first 3 matchups between those two teams this season. But all in all, really nice win. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627 as we get things tipped off here out at Harmonic in Thrive City. That's the number to jump in and join the conversation, 415-808-5627, Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line. Also, welcome to everyone watching on YouTube and Twitch. And I know to the YouTube chat, I think right off the top here, we owe you guys an apology for not doing the show on Sunday. I know we said we were going to probably 90%, 95%. We're going to do the show on Sunday on the YouTube stream only from Philly. We'd have some separation after the Niner game ends. And you know what? I just thought the Niner game was I'm going to accept it. Executive decision. JD made the decision. Don't hold Kyle Haar accountable. Commenters in the YouTube chat, and we love you, but the 49ers game had gone so well and the Warriors game was going so catastrophically horrible against Atlanta on Sunday that I texted Kyle and we had a little quick back and forth, and I said, you know what, we can't do this. Like, we're not going to do this. The vibes are too high in the Bay right now. We've seen this Warriors loss 5, 6, 7 times this season for Golden State, and there was no sense in ruining the vibe. I did not go get a cheesesteak instead, Robert Brown. I did not. I did. I think Krug did. I ended up going out with the Krugers after the game. As we were leaving the Lincoln Financial Field very late there in Philly. But so apologies for that, and also just kind of setting the table for the week. Obviously, we're going to be back here at Harmonic on Thursday. Warriors are going to take on the Knicks. That's going to be a fun game. I think that's the number one game of the whole 8-game homestand, where the Warriors now are 3-1 halfway through the 8-game homestand. We'll get to some thoughts on this game, but I also want to get some thoughts on just kind of the season as a whole. Why? Because we've reached the last Warriors game of the first half of the season, 22-19, as they reach the halfway mark of the year, 41 games down, 41 games to go. And this is also the final game tonight of the season where Jonathan Kuminga cannot be traded, because he will be eligible to be traded beginning on Thursday, and the next Warriors game comes up on Thursday. So 3 weeks plus a couple of days to go to the trade deadline, but the trade deadline really opens up for the Warriors, and trade season really opens up for the Warriors beginning on Thursday, with the 3-week window basically between Thursday, January 15th and Thursday, February 5th, which is Super Bowl week of all things, the Thursday of the lead up to the Super Bowl, but that is your NBA trade deadline. So 3 weeks for the Warriors to continue to look to add to the roster here to push forward and have a better second half of the season than they have a first half of the season, because I don't think anybody would say 22-19, given the aspirations for this team, is anything more than a disappointment at this point, even though the Warriors have played a little bit better of late. And you look through Golden State now, 10-4 in the last 14. If you go back to December the 20th versus Phoenix, they do bounce back. And basically, and kind of get into some thoughts about tonight's game, Warriors did everything tonight against Portland that they couldn't do against Atlanta, which basically amounted to hitting shots. They couldn't hit anything against the Hawks on Sunday inside Chase Center, and they wind up tonight not only putting up 119 points, but they make 23 of 57 from three-point range in this game. And they were hot right out of the gate. The ball was moving. It was a 12-4 lead. Jimmy Butler was aggressive. Draymond was hitting shots. Portland had a quick 7-0 run, but then Moses Moody hit a three. Guy Santos hit a three. Steph Curry hit a three. And all of a sudden, the Warriors are up 33-15 there in the first quarter. It was lots of hot shooting. 8 of 15 for the Warriors in the first quarter. So that kind of told you what kind of night it was going to be. An 8 for 15, 7 different players hit three-pointers for Golden State in the first quarter of this game. Moses Moody hit 2 for the Dubs. And then you look at everybody who hit a 3 for the Warriors in that first quarter, and it was impressive. Draymond Green getting into the act, and everybody, Steph getting into the act there. Everybody looking to really stripe it from distance tonight, and that became a story of the night. In addition to the ball movement, 13 assists for the Warriors on 14 made field goals in the first quarter, and the Warriors were really on cruise control, up 14 into the first quarter. They would push it up to a 26-point lead at halftime, a 29-17 edge in the second quarter. Everybody feasting for Golden State in that first half. 10 of the 11 players who played scored, led by Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, DeAnthony Melton. And DeAnthony Melton continues to become a story here of the last couple of weeks for the Warriors. And DeAnthony Melton goes off again. And the scoring is coming around for DeAnthony Melton. 23 tonight. The shooting is getting better for DeAnthony Melton. And DeAnthony Melton is becoming one of these guys that every single night, he's basically among, if not the Warriors leader in plus minus. And this was the kind of thing that he was doing even before. He was hitting shots at the level he has of late, and now he's hitting shots at the level he has been of late. And those plus minuses that were plus 6s and 8s and 10s are growing to be plus 16s and 18s, and tonight plus 20s on a night where everybody really was a big time plus in terms of the plus minus for the Warriors. The one guy they can't get going is Quentin Post, and a couple other guys who came in at the end ended up getting outscored. But everybody who played significant minutes tonight wound up being a net positive in the game, except for Quentin Post, who only played 14 minutes and scored 3 points and hit 1 of 5 from 3-point range. But DeAnthony Melton continues to be someone who is proving himself to be the Warriors' third best offensive player, dare I say, right now, behind Jimmy Butler and Stephen Curry, and maybe their third or fourth best all-around player when you start to factor in Draymond Green as well. And so that revelation, because I wasn't so sure. We've seen DeAnthony Melton perform at this level offensively throughout the course of his career, but given basically the last 2 years being really wrecked by injuries, you're kind of wondering, is it going to come back around for somebody like DeAnthony Melton or not? Or is he just going to have to be one of those guys whose offensive game is going to be, significantly less consistent than it used to be? But Melton is showing that he's still got that level of ability to get into the lane and do something with the ball, whether it's finish it, dish it. He's hitting more knockdown open threes. And so DeAnthony Melton really proving himself to be a player that can help this Warriors team if they can continue to look to fix the rest of the roster the best way they can here in the next 3+ weeks, that they may have some action here as far as, I don't want to say being a championship contender, but being a team that can make some legitimate noise in the Western Conference playoff picture. And I just don't think, and I've said it a lot, and they're 3-1 on the homestand. So if they can go 3-1 again, they'll get to that 6-2, which I think anything less than that would be a major disappointment. But they're going to have to work for it, and they're going to have to earn it with the Knicks coming in, and then Charlotte, which should be a win. But Miami and Toronto, you just never know. We've seen the matchup with Toronto. We've seen Miami come in at different points and really put it on the Warriors, and shorthanded even at times, put it on the Warriors and lead to some of the more disappointing losses for the Warriors over the last couple of years. So second half, really bit of a scare in the third quarter for the Dubs. Blazers had the last 3 of the second quarter. They end up on a 12-2 run to begin the third, and it was an ugly, ugly start for the Warriors. That was Quentin Post just not hitting anything. 7-0 run, though, for the Dubs after it. It got down to a 12-point game. It was 79-60, and then it was pretty much on cruise control from there. Another couple of threes made. Pajemski hit 2. Horford hit 1 at the end of the quarter. And the Warriors only ended up losing the third quarter by 2 after Portland basically had been spotted to that 12-2 run to begin the period. So 95-61. And let me tell you, the other great part about tonight for the Warriors, the other great part about tonight for Golden State was they're up 24 going to the fourth, and they pushed it up to 26, eventually led by as many as 29. But Jimmy Butler went out of the game with 10:30 to go after starting the fourth quarter, and Stephen Curry did not play a single minute in the fourth quarter at all. So he ends up playing only 25 minutes, and the Warriors win a game in blowout fashion where Steph Curry only scores 7 points. How about that as a juxtaposition to the game the other night against Atlanta, where it was basically Steph and Jimmy and nobody else could hit a shot or even function offensively. And tonight, it is a balanced attack led by DeAnthony Melton, along with Jimmy, who was aggressive early. Moses Moody was hitting the 3-point shot. How about Brandon Pajemski ends up with 15 in 22 minutes? Just a lot of offensive flow. And again, the Warriors, even with no Avdia and even with no Jeremy Grant, the Warriors owed, I feel like, the Portland Trailblazers a game like this one. But the number one thing tonight, and not that tomorrow, there's no back-to-back. The Warriors do play Thursday against the Knicks, and then Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday. So they're a week away from the back-to-back to close out the long homestand. But to get Jimmy out of there with 10:30 to go and to get Curry to not have to come back into the game at all in the fourth quarter, that's something that we have rarely seen the Warriors do at any point this season. Undermanned team. On paper, you'd think the Warriors would be able to handle business and win comfortably, and the Warriors have not been able to really do that at any point. They've played down to the competition and just let teams hang around in a lot of these games. And as Robert Brown points out, yes, the Knicks have a back-to-back. They play in Sacramento tomorrow, and the Kings are suddenly hotter. They've won 2 in a row since the Dubs blasted them on Friday night. They beat Houston. By the way, the Kings kind of own Houston. They've beaten them twice here in the last 3 weeks at Golden One Center. And then they beat the Lakers, who bounced back tonight and beat the Hawks in blowout fashion. So go figure. Hawks beat the Dubs. Lakers end up beating the Hawks. And then you've got the Kings who, wouldn't you know, own the Rockets apparently, 2 out of 3. And then beat the Lakers last night. So the Warriors able to gain some ground a little bit in the Western Conference over the last couple of days. But, yeah, the Knicks do have a back-to-back. And the Rockets have not been playing well, Robert. Yeah, since that first time that Sacramento beat them on a late three-pointer. I think it was Russell Westbrook hit a late three-pointer to beat them, or maybe it was Schroeder. Anyway, that was around that Christmas week. Schroeder, before he tried to slap Luka Doncic, helping the Warriors to beat the Rockets. Anyway, 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. Yeah, JC Mack, anyone can lose to anyone. It's Dubs OT with JD. So thoughts on tonight's game if you want to weigh in the YouTube chat, 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. And then we'll get into coming up at 10 the latest, I said 10, at 11, because we are an hour later. Coming up at 11, we'll get into the game. We'll get into the latest Jonathan Kuminga rumors, and we'll also get into just the Warriors and where things sit here at the halfway mark, because the Warriors are at the halfway mark of the season here at 22-19, which, again, is a 44-win pace. Disappointing to be sure, but I think the Warriors believe they're going to be a much better team because not only have they figured out some of the rotation, but they're also going to make a move here in the next couple of weeks to look to add to this roster. All right, let's get into the YouTube chat. We'll get to the Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line as well, 415-808-5627. But we'll get it rolling with some Kyle's clicks here. Robert Brown. To me, this game was more them being up for it after the Hawks embarrassed them, plus Denny not playing. I mean, has there been a better player in the NBA this season that the Warriors have faced against them than Denny Avdia? Has anybody played better against the Dubs this year than Avdia? And look, he's going to be an all-star, I think, this year. But my goodness, name a player who's been better against the Warriors this season than Avdia has. He has destroyed them, absolutely been an undeniable force against this Warriors team. So, yeah, I think you're spot on, Robert. I think you knew the Warriors were going to be mad, and you knew that they were going to play a more forceful beginning to this game, and that's exactly what they did. I also think having the Blazers not have a couple of guys who had really, really killed the Warriors in the earlier 3 matchups, I think was important as well. Let's keep it rolling in the chat here. Dubs OT. Gene, a win is a win, but can't take anything from this one. I'll look at Dubs OT tomorrow morning. Yeah, not a lot of big takeaways, Gene. Not a lot, and you can always do that. You can watch it back on YouTube the next day. You can listen via the podcast as well if you prefer not to see my ugly mug sipping on a Kolsch at Harmonic here in Thrive City. However you want to do it. But, yeah, not a lot of grandiose takeaways from this one, to be sure. Let's get one more here, and then we'll get to the phones real quick. We'll do more Kyle's Clicks coming up in the second segment of the show as well. JC Mack, thank God for Melton. Are we in danger of losing him next year? You bet your ass the Warriors are in danger of losing DeAnthony Melton next year. Let's look at the DeAnthony Melton contract, and let's look at the Warriors contracts overall. But, yeah, the Warriors paid him – last year they paid him handsomely. He's on a vet minimum. Yeah, DeAnthony Melton has a player option for $3.4 million for next year. He's making basically a little over $3 million straight up. He's on the veteran minimum for him and his service time in the league. So he will be an unrestricted free agent. He will be an unrestricted free agent in the summer of 2026, which is coming up here in a matter of months. And I believe the Warriors can only offer him, I think, a 20% raise. They might be able to offer him a mid-level exception if they can clear to the point where they could be a non-taxpayer. They could offer him the mid-level exception. Again, it's a little early in the year to be a capologist for me, but they are very much in danger. They are very much in danger of losing DeAnthony Melton. But you can't worry about that right now. It's January 13th, plenty of games to go. I want to get one more here. This is from Love Guitar Player, 4790. JD, were you with Larry when he got stuck in the Philly stadium after the Niner game? Yes, I was. Yes, I was. It was me and Krug, and we got stuck between two doors in this little hallway at the media entrance, and we were locked in. The door we thought was getting us out of the stadium was locked, and the door to get us back to like the elevators and other exits and back to the press box or anywhere was also locked. So we were like we were in like Lincoln Financial Field purgatory. And only Eric Branch of the San Francisco Chronicle saved us, because I happened to see that Eric was still writing his story as we were walking down to leave. And Krug and I were going to go to have a drink and go to have maybe a little food late. And Eric Branch, I just happened to look over just to kind of see, wow, are we the last ones here? And we weren't. And I happened to have Eric Branch's number in my phone. So I sent him a text and I said, hey, have you left yet? And he said no. And I said, yeah, we're stuck in between these two doors down by the entrance. Can you come open the door when you're done and you leave? And so Eric Branch saved us from maybe being stuck at the link. Yes, Eric extended a branch, you could say. He absolutely did. He absolutely did. No, it was crazy. So, yeah, that was it got a little scary because I had a very early flight. Let me tell you something, Robert. The JD Golden One Center prison was more comfortable than the room we were in. It was more comfortable. Maybe not bigger, but more comfortable. I will say that. All right, let's take a timeout. Danny in Vancouver, please hang on the line. I apologize. I don't want to rush you. We do need to take a quick timeout, our first one here before the top of the 11 o'clock hour. So let's go ahead and do that. No, there was no access to any beers or food or anything in this room. It was just the main entrance to like the entrance to the concourse level. And yeah, both doors ended up locked, so we were absolutely stuck. Dubs OT, we roll on here from Harmonic in Thrive City, 808 KMBR. Danny in Vancouver next. More from the YouTube chat, the best YouTube chat in sports, as the Warriors get the job done and handle their business against a depleted Portland team, 119-97. We're talking about it from Harmonic in Thrive City here in the Sports Leader.
live from downtown.
Hurry, way downtown. Bang!
This is Dubs OT with John Dickinson on the Sports Leader, streaming live at knbr.com and on the KNBR app.
Pajemski gets another one at the gun. Right at the buzzer, Brandon Pajemski.
Big night for Brandon Pajemski. Big night for the Warriors on offense as they handle the Portland Trailblazers. Dominant fashion. 119-97 is the final as we welcome you back here. It's Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader. Great to be back after another preemption for the thriller that the 49ers had against Philadelphia. Back here at Harmonic again. Big thanks to Mike and Jesse out here. Cheers to everybody jumping in following the Warriors win over the Blazers. We'll be back here on Thursday as well. Nice, complete, well-oiled machine-type victory for Golden State off of a really ugly loss against Atlanta on Sunday night. 808 KNBR, the number to jump in and join the conversation via the phone lines. We'll get to more YouTube chats coming up here. Always appreciate those watching on YouTube and Twitch. But to the phones we go. Danny in Vancouver gets us tipped off here. In the 11 o'clock hour, I am like daylight savings time messed up, Danny, by this 8 o'clock thing. We're in the 11 o'clock hour here on the Leader. And good evening to you, sir, and thank you for jumping in so late, my friend.
Thank you for always a great show, very entertaining. Welcome back. Congrats on the 49ers. I apology accepted, my friend. I know football kind of dwarfs everything down there, especially the 49ers. So congrats. I heard you're covering the game on, you're going up to Seattle on Saturday. I'm going to be there also.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, it's probably my favorite stadium to see a game. And yeah, it's even better at night. What's going on, brother? It'll be even better at night. That 5 o'clock
Are you in the press
time
box,
is awesome.
by the way?
I will be in the press box. Danny, are you going to be around Friday at all? Are you going to be around Friday at all? Or are you just heading in Saturday?
I think I'm just going down Saturday morning. I'm meeting some buddies, and we're going. What's Friday? Happening Friday?
No, just I'm just gonna say, man, if you wanted to meet up and have a brew, we could. I'd probably be able to do it Friday. If you're in town early enough, it's just we start so early. It'd be tough, but
okay.
I know you love stopping by, but yeah, I'll be in the box. I'll try and come down. We'll try and figure something out where I can come down and.
Okay, I appreciate it. I would love to say hello.
Hi.
I was gonna buy you a beer. We're all heading out to Ruth Chris after the game, but you're probably working. You're welcome, more than welcome, if you like that. But we can talk later. So
yeah. No, I appreciate it, Danny. But yeah, let's I'll put you with Kyle and we'll figure something out, man. We'll definitely figure something out.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much. So just regarding the game, what a difference when they came out with some. I know you mentioned that they were hitting their shots and it's a make or miss league, no doubt. But I thought the defense intensity was really good from the start. It was noticeably good, and I know I don't want to take anything away from the Warriors. I know Portland was down their two best players, but I noticed that right away, and they did start to hit shots. And I always feel like, good defense leads to good offense, so that was good. I feel like they've been trending better. Melton is definitely on the come, as you like to say. His shots coming back. I mean, he's quite a good player. He made some nice drives. He's very crafty. So I feel like they may have their third scorer now. So that was great. It was a little scary in the third quarter. I think maybe halfway through the third, there was a moment where Portland was down 12. They came down and Holiday had a layup. Literally, he threw it out and they missed
and
the
he
three.
Kicked it out for the three. Yeah,
crazy. I thought that turned the game right there. Literally, that was like a key moment. So that was great. But so I think Melton's really made a difference. And just to finish it up, JD, question. I was doing the math roughly in my head, and I see there's a lot of MPJ rumors going on out there. Would Kuminga, Hield, and Moody roughly equal that salary? Is that something that's maybe going to happen? Would love your thoughts on that. And thanks again.
Hey, stay on the line. I'm going to have Kyle pick up with you here, Danny, and we'll figure out if we can try to meet up at some point on Saturday. But no, I appreciate the call, and I'll chime in on some of the thoughts here on what you brought to the table. That would work as far as the salaries and everything goes. You could do Jonathan Kuminga. Now the Nets have to want Jonathan Kuminga, which I don't think they do. They could have signed Jonathan Kuminga outright in the offseason, had the cap space to do it. So I think you're looking at a 3-team trade or maybe even a 4 or 5-team trade when it comes down to you look at Kuminga going somewhere, Moody going maybe to Brooklyn or elsewhere, and then Buddy Hield going somewhere as well. But it's not just going to be those three without at least a pick going. And if the Warriors are unwilling, and it had been reported that the Warriors are a little skittish on the ability to give up more than one first-round pick. And so that's something that I think has to be, taken into account here. And I also think the Warriors are at a point where they may be more willing to look to try to acquire another pick by making a different move that could be rerouted maybe to Brooklyn to come up with the second pick in a deal like that. So that's the part that I think makes it a lot more tricky. But yes, the simple math of Kuminga, Moody, and Buddy Hield going out, regardless of where they go, would work. Now, remember, the Warriors are in a position where if they're going to look to make some kind of a trade, they cannot take back more money than they send out because they are hard capped at the first apron and basically $200,000 under that hard cap. So that's something that you factor in. Would Brooklyn do it? There's going to be other suitors. Detroit interested in Michael Porter Jr. Brooklyn tends to wait to the last minute to look to want to make these deals. I don't think the Warriors can look to make a Kuminga deal until the last minute, because then I think they truly are going to get lowballed in terms of the offer. And so that all comes into play. But a lot of teams are rumored to be still interested. I know there was a report last week that it's only Sacramento. There are teams that used to be interested. I'm kind of going from the Jake Fisher report from yesterday. He says Phoenix used to be interested, no longer interested. Washington used to be interested. Mavericks maybe less interested than they were before, but still interested because he fits Cooper Flagg's timeline. Chicago interested, the Lakers interested, Sacramento interested at this point. We've talked in the past about the Pelicans. Obviously, Washington just traded for Trae Young. So we'll have to see. But I do think there are teams out there that are interested in Kuminga, not necessarily the player, but Kuminga's contract with the ability for him to come off of a team's books at the end of the year, or you get a flyer on him for 3 weeks or 3 months, 2 months, evaluate him, and then decide if you want to keep him for next year, and then he potentially could come off your books, or you could look to re-sign him. So that's kind of the latest there, but the math would work, to go back to Danny on that. As far as the rest of the game, it's chicken or the egg, right? Does defense lead to offense? Does offense lead to defense? I thought the Warriors were intent on playing quality defense early. I think it was easier to do without Avdia and Jeremy Grant on the court, and they were hitting shots. And, when you have that level of intensity defensively and you're hitting shots, that's where you jump out to a big lead, and that's where you can kind of put a game on cruise control, assuming you still continue to make shots at that level, which for the most part the Warriors did. The only time they lulled was that beginning of the third quarter. And, Danny, I completely agree with you that the kick out, I think it was Holiday who kicked it out to Kamara when he had a layup, and the Blazers missed, and then they missed again, and then the Warriors hit a couple of threes and put the lead in the game back and out of reach. That was a significant turning point in this one, as the Warriors eventually cruised to the 22-point victory. But all in all, you'll take it. As I often say, better than the alternative, and a nice bounce back off of the ugliness from the game on Sunday against the Atlanta Hawks. All right, let's continue on the phone lines. 808 KNBR, From Danny, we go to Mike and Los Gatos up next here on the Sports Leader. Hey, Mike, you're on Dubs OT.
Hey, John. Thanks for the show. Love it. I just don't understand Kuminga. Same with Ayuk. The young men, have some respect for the game and your teammates. I mean, 22-19 Warriors, of course. Yeah, but we had so much higher expectations for Kuminga. And the locker room must be pretty frigid around his locker. And I agree with you. Get rid of him early, because the 3-week trade window, that's what, 9 or 10 games? We could have the new cat, whomever it might be, come in. And I just don't understand the selfishness of those two guys.
Who was the second guy? Kuminga, and who else?
I switched sports. Sorry. Brandon Ayuk. You know.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, it's also a different kind, but no.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you go. I'm sorry.
No, I was just looking at how many games, because you bring up a great point in that we're at the 41 game mark. And look, if they made a trade Thursday morning, which is the first time they're eligible to make a trade, you probably wouldn't get the player for obviously that night against the Knicks. You probably wouldn't get him in time to play against the Hornets on Saturday. But even if that's the case, you're talking 1, 2, I'm counting them, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got 7, 8 games before the trade deadline, even if you take out those 2 where you probably wouldn't be able to get all the physicals passed and all that. There's a 72-hour window to report from one team to the next. Basically, players get 72 hours to get their affairs in order. If they want to take it, they can make it shorter or not. But in the collective bargaining agreement, they get 3 days but before they have to report and practice or play in a game. So that still would leave 8 games. If even if you take out the first 2, to where you could look to make something happen. I don't think it's going to happen though in the first weekend, Mike. I will caution though the Warriors. It's a 3-week window, but I'm going to be real here, Mike. I think it's really a 2-week window, because I think if you get into that final week, which is January 29th to February 5th, you get into that final week, teams are going to start to think that maybe you're a little bit desperate and that you don't have the offers that you thought you were going to get. And then I think teams start to pull offers. They start to lessen offers, and you wind up in a position where you really are up against it and maybe having to take something even less desirable than maybe on the table here in the first week to 10 days when this window opens. So I would encourage the Warriors to not wait around and to get something done in the first, let's say, 10 to 14 days of this 21-day window that leads up to the February 5th deadline.
And if you wait till the very end, from what you said with the 72 hours, that's 2 more games after the trade deadline. If you wait till the end, and what team would want him in their locker room? I don't understand.
Well, he is still talented, Mike, and thanks for the call. And I will say it's situation at this point. He needs to go to a bad team that wants to give him the runway to be able to try and stretch his legs and be the player that he thinks he is. And that's Tracy McGrady, Kobe Bryant style, Kawhi Leonard with a little bit of Giannis style of player. That's who he thinks he is. He thinks he's that type of player, needs to play that way. Not saying he's as good or will be ever as any of those players, but wants to be a ball dominant, kind of score only and not do much else type of a player. He needs to go to a team that will allow for that at the expense of winning. Bottom line, he needs to go to the Sacramento Kings. That, as we talked about in our last show on Friday, and I'm not going to re-rant about it. I ranted about it then. But they are a match made from heaven in terms of, there is So he wants to be a focal point, and they have a member of their front office in BJ Armstrong who believes he is that level of talent. And I think the Kings are trying to buy low on him, and they would give – the reason he wants to go to Sacramento so badly is, one, because they're a dysfunctional franchise, but two, he could go in there and basically kind of demand to do whatever he wants, and Doug Christie ain't going to tell him no. And so it really is a situation where, because of the void of leadership and competence that's been there, he can kind of own the room. And so that's the part that I think is appealing to him. Whereas I think there are other teams that are interested in him as a talent, but don't want to make him a focal point, may want to put, take a flyer on him for 2 months and then let his contract expire, take a flyer on him for a year and a half, let his contract expire, or look to maybe sign him to a longer-term deal if he plays well in the final 2 months of the year. That team that he goes to could rip up the deal and look to sign him to a new one at that point. So I think he is talented as a project, as a prospect. Unfortunately for him, even in year 5, he still is a prospect. And you could make the case he's less of a prospect now than he was even 2 years ago, unfortunately, based on the way he's played when he's gotten opportunities with the Dubs, or because he hasn't gotten maybe some opportunities with the Warriors as well. So, all right, 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Back to the YouTube chat here on Dubs OT. Eric, talk trades, please. Who can we get? 2 players or just Michael Porter Jr.? You can go the 2-player route, but I think right now the Warriors are doing everything they can to see if they can get Michael Porter Jr. or Trey Murphy III, Herb Jones, combination of the two. Does Brooklyn want to throw in Nick Claxton? Like, can you figure that out? Like, I think the Warriors are attempting to aim high, because I think, and I know there's been some conflicting reports as to whether Michael Porter Jr. fits. Are you kidding me? Fits? Because he's a little bit of an aloof, at times low IQ, player that just going to catch and it's going up, a la Klay Thompson. Look, Michael Porter Jr. with his shooting and rebounding, everybody in the Warriors front office should want Michael Porter Jr. He would be a perfect complement to Steph, Melton, Jimmy, and Draymond. He would be a perfect complement. So, again, I think they're aiming high, and the 2 top targets at this point are Michael Porter Jr. and are Trey Murphy III. But, again, you start to look at some of the reporting on this, and you're going to have to give up picks if you're going to look to make that happen. Lots of roadblocks. Jake Fisher on his Substack writes, as it relates to Kuminga, prevented the Kings from acquiring him in the summer. Kings still want to get off of Malik Monk. Warriors don't want to take on Malik Monk's contract, so kind of the same things there. Kings still do value Kuminga, but the parties have been resigned to the fact that a third team would have to get involved to make such a deal possible, Fisher wrote. Assembling a multi-team framework will be even more challenging than it sounds if the Kings hold firm on the insistence not to add a future first-round pick to the deal. And again, that pick wouldn't be going to the Warriors, but that pick would be going to some other team with the Warriors pick in an attempt to get maybe a Michael Porter Jr. So those are the guys. I personally would give up 2 picks for him if it meant you could get the job done with Kuminga and Buddy. Absolutely would do it. I would do it because it gives this team, I think, this year and next year a fighting chance if they continue to add to make some noise in the playoffs. And I also think it would make them – I think that's a team that would get on a hell of a run. If they brought in Michael Porter Jr. or Trey Murphy, and again, I don't even necessarily know that Trey Murphy's been on absolute fire. Have you looked at Trey Murphy's numbers in the last 5 to 10 games? Like, Trey Murphy's been absolutely smoking. for the Pelicans. Like he's become their best player. So maybe they ultimately don't want to trade him at when you look forward. But Ian J, I think it's going to take more than one. And the Warriors probably don't want to do that, but I think they're going to have to come to grips with it. If they can get the Kings to throw in a one, then maybe it winds up being that level as we get to the deadline. All right, let's continue in the chat here. JD, who do you think we are getting for JK? Was that Buddy's last game? I don't think they're making a trade Thursday. I really don't. I also think, again, as I mentioned, the Warriors trying to flesh out the highest end player that they can potentially get. They're also going to have to look around the league at players that make a similar level of salary. And I think that's going to be something that you're going to have to look at. I'm looking at all, the player contracts throughout the league. And you're going to have to find somebody. And I bring this up because I have before. You look at Jonathan Kuminga. Jonathan Kuminga is the 84th highest paid player in the NBA at $22.5 million for this season. They're going to have to find someone around the level at a minimum. Like, they're going to have to get creative with this thing. Nick Claxton could do it. Would you take Nick Claxton for Kuminga? That doesn't help your offense or your shooting, but you could become an elite defensive team. Maybe you engage with Brooklyn on that. Lincoln Schumann, we appreciate you. Maybe you look on that front, but I'm looking at players within that range. And again, Nick Claxton is one. I don't think the Warriors would have any interest in John Collins. Mikal Bridges isn't going anywhere. Miles Bridges is an interesting name. I don't think they'd have interest in DeMar DeRozan. DeAndre Hunter, I don't think is good enough. Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Those are all the kinds of players that are in that range of player if you're going just straight up player for player as it relates. But no, I think the Warriors are going in on Porter. They're going in on Trey Murphy III. And then as things get closer to maybe the 25th, they're going to have to shift their sights elsewhere. Joe Schmo, if they cannot give up a pick or depth for a guy, Hield and JK, and bring in a contributing player. If they cannot give up a pick and or depth for a guy, okay, I got you. I want to make sure I read that properly. Hield and JK, bring in a contributing player. They're looking for that third guy that makes Melton the fourth guy, and then you've got five guys that are Steph, Melton, Jimmy, Draymond, and the fifth guy. That's what they're trying to do at this point. And if they can't, then they may have to settle for just another rotation type player that's going to be anywhere between the 6, 7, 8 level. Let's move it forward here. Honest inquiry for you, JD. How do GMs know to contact one another? Does the league release a front office directory to every team, or is the GM community tight like that and have numbers saved? I am sure there is a contact number for each team. I think GMs exchange info as well and kind of get to know each other and have to get to know each other in an attempt to make things happen. But maybe if somebody doesn't have somebody's exact number, then there's somebody in the front office that has that number, right? It's all about networking and connections. But no, there is, I'm sure, a directory of some sort to be able to get a hold of somebody. I'm sure teams do think, hey, call this guy to get to the guy. Hey, I'm not calling that guy to get to the guy. I'm not calling your Grant Liffman to get to the general manager. I want to call the general manager. Let's go. I'm not calling the guy to get to the guy. But yeah, that's the GM community is pretty tight. And again, they all want to try to help each other the best they can. So they all have some exchange of kind of what's going on. All right, one more, and then we're going to take a quick timeout. Ian J., the sooner the better, but the deal can't be for a bag of peanuts. And look, we know the Warriors are not going to trade him. We know the Warriors are not going to trade him for a bag of peanuts. And so I would be stunned if anything happened in the first 5 days. I'd be stunned if a trade is made before the Warriors homestand ends on January 20th when they play against Toronto a week from tonight. I'd be stunned. I think it's going to bleed into I think the trade is going to go down somewhere between the 21st and the 30th. I think it's going to go down somewhere in those final 10, 11 days of January. That is what I think will ultimately be the timeline. All right, let's take a timeout. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. More from the YouTube chat. We are going to get some sounds at Dubs OT as well. As we roll on here toward midnight, we're going to keep this thing going until a little bit before midnight. We got to clear some spots. But we appreciate everybody who is checking in, jumping in, joining the conversation here. Dubs OT with JD on the Sports Leader.
KNBR presents the sounds of Dubs OT.
I can see the headline now. Kerr says Warriors better without Curry.
No class, no ball.
I want to get my joy back. I'm happy here, off the court.
Now here's John Dickinson.
All right, Warriors win. We're back here at Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. Dubs get the job done 119-97. So they do it defensively. They do it offensively as well, as the Warriors improve to 22-19 at the halfway mark. So 44-win pace. Again, I think that's pretty disappointing overall as we hit the halfway mark. And we'll see what the Warriors can do in the second half to make it better. They are playing better of late. You look at the 9 or 10 now and 4 in the last 14 going back to December the 20th. All right, let's hear from Steve Kerr as he met with the media postgame. Couple of Steve Kerr, couple of Draymond Greens. And here's what Steve Kerr had to say about the overall state of the Warriors and where they sit here at the halfway mark.
I think we're in a pretty good place. We obviously have lost some games in the first half of the year that we should have won. We feel like our record should be better, but none of that matters. We got to just take care of ourselves right now and do what we can to, climb up the standings. So we're playing better. We're playing pretty consistently. Doing a lot of good things right now.
There you go. I don't love that. I mean, I think, it feels very last year or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Lost some games you should have won. But feeling good about the ability to kind of get things straight and knowing, and I think we all know there is a move on the way to be made, which should give this team a boost. But I don't think, and again, I kind of threw it out there to the chat, and if folks want to weigh in, we can get to some of those here between now and midnight when we wrap things up. But I really think, there's no way to say that 22-19 is anything but disappointing. And, based on what the expectations were for this team, I think they thought they had a roster that would be 25-16 right now. And be able to be on cruise control a little bit to a point where guys would be getting their rest. They'd be relatively healthy. The young players have elevated themselves to be able to be good enough, consistently enough to be able to help, this team not have all the games that they've had. For example, like the game against Atlanta on Sunday, where it's Steph and Jimmy and nobody else. So that I would say, again, trying to put an optimistic spin on the ability to push forward. And look, they have been worse at different points in the last 4 years, but let's see where they are at the end of this homestand, and let's see where they are when they eventually ultimately make the Jonathan Kuminga trade. All right, let's hear another one from Steve Kerr. He weighed in on DeAnthony Melton, who continues to find his rhythm offensively here over the last handful of games. This is Steve Kerr on Melton and just where he's at right now in terms of continuing to build the rhythm and shake off the rust.
His shot has really come around. I mean, we didn't expect him to be in rhythm those first few weeks when he came back. He had hardly played for 2 years. So you can see the confidence is rising. He's a really dynamic player, explosive athlete, and really skilled, fundamentally sound. And it's fun watching him play. And yeah, I mean, the guys have total confidence in Melt.
As they should. I mean, he's become their third or fourth best player, I think, without a doubt. And he is somebody that is immensely skilled. He can dribble, he can drive, he can hit an open three, he can defend guards, he can defend smaller wings. Like he is a really, really good player that helps the ceiling for this Warriors team. Unfortunately, he is still more of a 16-game player than an 82-game player, but what he's shown here over the last 2 weeks is that he also can be an 82-game player. And I think, if he's able to start to push 30 minutes a game relatively consistently or occasionally even, and they keep kind of backing them off the back-to-backs, and they add somebody else to the roster. Again, think of it this way. For those of you listening and watching on YouTube, think of what this team could be with Steph, Melton, Jimmy, Draymond, and a fifth to be named later based on what they're able to do in the Kuminga trade. Because that 5 is your potential closing lineup, and then maybe you're talking about, guys like Horford and guys like Pajemski and guys like Will Richard and others as the bench pieces kick down a few pegs that still can be impactful but aren't necessarily being counted on to be in the top 3 or 4 or 5 every single night. And that's where you get to a real strong point here as it relates to this Warriors team being able to level up. All right, what does Draymond Green think about where the Warriors are at the halfway point? 22-19, 44 win pace. Draymond got that question in the postgame press conference.
I think we're in a pretty good spot, figuring it out. Just really figuring out who we are as a team now that we're healthy and whole. I think it's kind of starting to come together for us and turn the corner. We're starting to build an identity.
Yeah, starting to build an identity, which you hope doesn't take you half the season. I mean, let's just be real about it. You don't want it. And, okay, we'll give the Warriors the benefit of the doubt. It's been, 14 games? So it took them a third of the season. If you take the 41 where they're at now, you subtract 14, that's 27. That's exactly a third of the season. You don't want it to take a third of the season to formulate some semblance of an identity. And I think that's been the flaw. And it's a real criticism. It's a real criticism of Steve Kerr and the Warriors and the way they kind of operate, that in these years since they won a title has taken them a third of the year, half the year, 55, 60 games of the year to form an identity, and then they can get on a run. Like, that's part of why they've been working our way backward, a 7 seed, a 7 seed, a 10 seed, a 6 seed, and we'll see what they wind up being this year. Currently, I think they were 8th coming into play tonight. Let me make sure I check that out. I want to give them credit for where they were. I guess Portland came in. Yeah, Warriors are 8th still, 22-19. Phoenix at 24-16. And so that's something that, you wish you were better, and you wish it wouldn't take you so long. Now, the one thing I will give the Warriors credit for, 23-8 after the Butler trade, they found their identity on the fly from a game under 500 and ended up pushing themselves to, 48 wins at that point. Here's the other thing I will say. They were 27-12 in the final 39 games 2 years ago, and they didn't make a big trade for Jimmy Butler at that point. So they have found their identity, and once they do, they play better. They played better in March and April 3 years ago that got them to the 6th seed in the series that they wanted against Sacramento that they eventually were able to win. All right, let's hit one more from Draymond Green here in the postgame press conference. We'll wrap up our Sounds of Dubs OT. Here's Draymond weighing in on DeAnthony Melton, who is proving more and more by the game to be a more and more valuable player for this Warriors team.
It's great. We thought he was very important to this team before he got hurt, and obviously everything that happened. So for him to come back was a big gift for us, and to see how he's playing, now that he's back from the injury, the minutes are starting to go up. Although he's been doing these in under 20 minutes still, although the restriction has gone up, but it's very happy for him because I know, the work that he put in to get back.
And the Warriors, any lengthy playoff run the Warriors go on is going to be with DeAnthony Melton as part of their closing group. He is a ceiling-changing player, and we've seen as he's come into his own how the Warriors have played better basketball. Simple as that. And Again, you don't want to have to be dependent. I know Danny in Vancouver said, hey, I think he's becoming their number 3 scorer consistently. I would like it better if he was their number 4 scorer consistently. Steph, Jimmy, Michael Porter Jr., and Melton. That you can live with some of the other guys coming off the bench. All right, that's it for our Sounds of Dubs OT. Great stuff. Appreciate Jordan Pratari and, of course, our guy Kyle Haar in the Daly City studios there here on Dubs OT on the Sports Leader. All right, let's get to more of the chat. Let's run through some chats. We got about 15 minutes to go, and then we'll do a little bit more on the Kuminga rumors and also some fun with numbers here to close out the night. Bennett Roth, appreciate you. I guess this begs the question, JD, what happens first after January 15th? JK gets traded or the 49ers play a third playoff game? I think Kuminga ultimately is going to get traded after the NFC Championship game. So are you asking me to pick? Then do I have to pick the Niners? Kyle, we need a. So if I say I got to believe the Niners are going to win if the Niners are going to play a third playoff game before JK gets traded, right?
I guess that is part of it. Yeah.
All right, why not? I'm going to say the Niners play a third playoff game. Why not? Why not? There you go. There's my Niner prediction. Right here. 4 days in advance or whatever it is. What day is this? Robert Brown. The best time to trade JK was last year at this time. I actually disagree with you, Robert. I agree with you about 97.5% of the time. Like, I do. I agree with Robert a lot. Like, usually I'm like, God, Robert, let's go. Like, Robert should be doing this show. Like, half the time. Like, it's like, oh, yeah, that's a good point. I actually think the best time to trade JK was 2 years ago at this time. I think that's when the Anunobis and the Siakams, if you could come up with picks and maybe be willing to throw in other players, that's when you could have got that level of player. The problem is if you get that level of player, then do you then ultimately wind up with Jimmy Butler on top of that? That's the part where it gets a little bit sketchy for me. So I disagree with you, Robert. I think it was 2 years ago at this time. Because he had played enough and played well enough to where, as a prospect with time left on his rookie contract, you'd want to maybe take a flyer on him. And you'd have him for a year and a half at that point if you're another team. And then you get him as a restricted free agent from that point on. So, I don't know. I think 2 years ago was the right time, but yeah, here's the one thing I know. The time is now. Like, they missed the opportunity. They missed the window. You better do it now. Rich Ray, Dunleavy needs to stick this one for all the marbles. Come on, Mike. Yes, he does. He does for sure. Let's keep it moving here. 2 more days, and we never have to type JK again. Estimated eyes. It ain't ending on the 15th. Like, it is not ending on the 15th. Maybe by like the 26th. I feel like Monday, the 26th of January is like the earliest. Maybe I'm wrong. We shall see. Bingo. The Warriors have given away far too many winnable games for an average team. They're a bubble team. Yeah, they're a bubble team. They're a play-in team. And they have given away far too many winnable games. But why have they given away those games? Because they're not that good. They're not that good. That's it. John J. JK for Denny is the new rumor. Yeah, no question. No chance. No chance. JK for Denny. Oh, my God. The Warriors should have just picked Denny. Like, why wouldn't the Warriors have just picked Denny? You look at the draft. I don't want to do it. Denny went 9. Man, that was another trade back option. But yeah, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. JK rumors, San Jose Jazz fan 8. What could those possibly be? Well, they're out there, and I've tried to paraphrase. And how about the Lakers reportedly be interested in Melton, in Kuminga? They called Golden State. Jake Fisher wrote in his piece on his Substack. They called the Warriors about Kuminga during the standoff over the summer. The Lakers have continued to monitor Kuminga's situation while casting a wide net to try and find help on a very limited wing market. Who would you want from the Lakers? Who would you want from the Lakers, Kyle?
Hachimura, maybe?
You don't have. I would take Rui for Kuminga.
I mean,
I absolutely
that's
would.
about it. Realistically,
18.2. I mean, you're not. I mean, the Lakers actually, after LeBron and Luka, don't have anybody currently on their roster making over $20 million. So, would you take Rui and Dalton Connect?
Yeah, I would.
Would you take? Yeah, that's that. So it'd be that kind of move. Would you take Rui and Jake LaRavia?
I'm down.
Although the Warriors would probably have to throw in a TJD or somebody low scale.
Oh, that's fine.
Rich Ray LeBron for JK. Look, Rui could help the Warriors more than JK. But Dom says, "Oh my God, Lakers stop." Joe Lacob would trade him to the Chinese Basketball Association before approving a trade to the Lakers. No, I agree. I don't think he's going to the Lakers unless the Warriors are getting LeBron. I kid, but yeah, Kyle, you said it right, LeBron. So yeah, we'll move off that. Yeah, I'm with you, Don. I don't think the Lakers is happening. JC Mack. Third quarter, Blazers left Draymond alone. He could not make a shot. Then he just kept shoving the ball to his teammates, causing either a turnover or missed shots. Yeah, that was the first 4 minutes. That was the bad 4 minutes of that third quarter. Random Lakers for Jonathan Kuminga. Chris Mim? Anyone? Chris Mim? JK for Scott Brooks. What happens first, Pearsall plays or Kuminga? I think Pearsall is going to try to play Saturday. So I'm going to say Pearsall. Might be Pearsall next year plays before Kuminga does for the Warriors, at least. We'll roll with that. All right, let's get a few more. As soon as Melton started cracking the 20-point mark, he's been taking those pods and Spencer minutes. Exactly. You got to freaking score in this league. You can't just be a do-everything guy that goes 1 for 5 and scores 4 points. Doesn't freaking work. JK for JJ. Oh, thank God that I didn't miss the Jimmy Butler new hairdo reveal party. Yeah, new hair, new Jimmy. New hair, new Jimmy. All right, let's get one more. Here is our Dubs OT comment of the night.
Now, time for the Dubs OT comment of the night.
Any Aaron Turner tweets about how great JK is against Portland? He did help him win a game a couple years ago after the I've lost faith tweet. There was remember the I've lost faith tweet, and then I think they played Portland and he helped them win a game after that. I don't know. But no, not tonight. There was no Kuminga highlight reel.
Well, how about the highlight
Portland
reel being from 2023?
Of course it was. I mean, when's the last? I mean, seriously, I'm not gonna do it. You know what? No, we're not. Never mind. I'm not gonna do it. Don't make me do it. I'm not gonna do it.
It might be fun with numbers time then.
Robert, I'm not gonna. Robert, I am not. Robert. Look at that one from Robert. You 11. You know the one I'm talking about. I'm not even going to acknowledge it, but Robert, we need to end. We should just end the show right now. Robert at 11:51 with one I am not going to mention verbally, but we are going to put on the screen. Robert, that might be the greatest. No. The other one. The one above that one. Robert, that might be the greatest single comment in the history of Dubs OT. I am just leave that up the rest of the show. Robert, we are going to give you like 4 minutes of that just sitting on the screen.
Dave improves too.
Overnight Dave improves. Robert, that is I can't even talk. I don't even think I'm going to be able to finish the show. that is wow. That is legit. That is legit. That is so good. The comment that I am not going to mention on the air. Some things are good on YouTube and on the stream.
Some things are better on set.
So yeah, some things are just better on set. We're just going to leave that up there until Kyle decides he's going to end this stream. That is the greatest. And look, I'm not saying it can't be beaten, but that is the greatest comment in the history of Dubs OT. We've been doing this thing for over 2 years. That is it. Anyway, hopefully it should be on the screen right now. It should be on the screen right now. But yeah, that you're going in, Robert. You're going in, Robert. All right, let's get our fun with numbers here to close up shop. But don't take that off the screen.
This is Dubs OT with JD. Time now for fun.
I'm a fun guy.
With numbers.
No, I'm just having fun.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live on KNBR.com and the KNBR app.
All right, Warriors get the win. 119 to 107. I'm sorry, 119 to 97. I just decided to give the Blazers 10 points there. I'm not sure why. Warriors 3-1 on the 8-game homestand now. They're 22-19 after 41 games. Last season they were actually worse, 21-20, en route to being a game under 500 when they made the Jimmy Butler trade. So they have improved by 1 game at the midpoint of the season. They also ended the 3-game losing streak against the Blazers. They can beat the Blazers 1-3 in the season series. Portland could have used those 10. Yes, they could have. There's no doubt. Warriors are 7-2 overall when holding opponents under 100 points. The Warriors did not trail in the game. It's the second time this year the Warriors didn't trail in any game. The other one was at Chicago on December 7th. 69 points for the Warriors bench in this one. We didn't talk about the bench in terms of that, but it was 69 to 45. So a plus 24. The bench, you could make the case, won the Warriors this game by outscoring the Blazers by 24. Some individual numbers here both ways in terms of the team-wide. 21 players in the game tonight made at least one three-pointer, which is a new record for most players in a single game with at least one three-pointer. That's an NBA record for most players in a game that to hit a three-pointer, most different players. Steph had 11 assists, season low 7 points, but he had 11 assists, 4 boards. Only the second time this year Steph didn't score in double figures. The other time was at New Orleans on 11-16. So the Warriors are 2-0 when Steph is under 10. Go figure. Warriors are 2-0 with Steph under 10 points. I would not have bet on that. 23 for Melton. It was a game high, 18 minutes. Second 20-point game for Melton, as he's done it in 2 of the last 6 games. Jimmy had 16, 6, and 5. Draymond 10, 7, and 2. Moody with a nice Moses Moody game, 14 points. He made 4 threes. Moses Moody is awesome when he knocks down the 3. All right, that is your fun with numbers for tonight. And that is going to do it for us tonight here, as we got to get out before midnight here on Dubs OTs. Want to thank everybody, Kyle, Big thanks to you, my friend. Big thanks to Jesse and Mike out here at Harmonic. Also, Alex and Grace, who I got a chance to say hi to earlier. It's actually 58. Because we got to play 2 minutes of spot. So, Kyle, anybody I'm forgetting here in the last 40 seconds?
We had Chips, and we had some Overnight Dave, and thank you, Robert Brown, for making this Stubbs OT memorable right here.
And Robert Brown with the comment of ever. Yeah, we're gonna have to fix the thing behind me here that looks like I've got like a winter doily hat or something. It's like that. Anyway, for everybody, Kyle, we got to clear these spots or I might get fired. So Dubs OT before the clock strikes midnight right here, the Sports Leader. We'll talk to you Thursday.